Welcome back. This is Tim Thiessen Live. My guest today is Mike Harris from the Brotherhood of the Badge. And Mike, as we have been talking about what you're doing there, let's talk about your organization here in Fresno, because for what you've done and the amount of money that you've raised, you're amazingly small. You would not make a good Baptist, because they have to have 5 committees, because I can speak freely about this because I am one. They have to have these big boards and everything. So tell us about your board of directors, and folks, you're going to find this quite interesting.
Well, to maximize the impact that we've made, we've outfitted over 25,000 Iraqi police officers with all the safety equipment they need to get out and do their job, and we're a little bit over about 1,200 in Afghanistan, and that's because we've just started with Afghanistan. But we have a membership of 6 people in our entire organization.
6. Like less than 10, like 6.
6 people.
Okay.
Myself as the president, and I talked about Brian Burry a little bit. Our other fellow that's one of the movers and shakers is Mr. Ken Shockley. He was a Army Ranger in his military service to the country, and formerly was the public information officer for Mayor Autry when he was in office, and then later went to the city fire department as their public information officer, and then unfortunately his position was cut, but now he's back into news producing, which is something, a vocation he knows quite well. We also have former City Councilman Jerry Duncan on board with us, and
okay.
I would have to give him all the accolades in the world for being one of the greatest patriots I've ever met. He jumped in straight from the dais at the City Council one evening and says, "I got to be part of you guys," you know. So he came on board with us, and I can't give him enough credit. Rosalind Clark, Rosalind. And her husband Fred here locally in Fresno, pretty much if you don't know them, you never come outside after dark.
Mm-hmm.
But Roz operates the entire neighborhood watch program for the city of Fresno. She's their president, and what she does for us is she is so astute and experienced at running nonprofit organizations. She handles that for us and keeps us out of trouble with the IRS and so forth. Lindsay Hughes, she's a community service officer with the City of Fresno's Police Department. She handles our finances and pays our bills, and lets us know if we spend too much or don't spend enough, and she keeps us straight in that regard. So that's basically the group in itself, and of course there's me that chases around after equipment around the country, and we've been pretty successful interlinking with our specific talents, and we make this project work.
Okay. Well, Mike, tell us a little bit about because you had to have the blessing of Congress for this also. Is that correct? And the brass in the military. Tell us a little bit about that process and what that took to really get the idea that was really born here in Fresno and nurtured, and then be able to get our government to come on board and allow you guys in here.
Well, that was kind of an ascension up the ladder, getting Congress involved or getting Congress to accept our program. Every time we would get an accolade or a good job pat on the back from one of the legislators, basically here locally with our council people, then our assembly people, and then Congressman Radonovich was a tremendous asset when he was in office, who ultimately took our program to the U.S. Congress. Every time we'd get some type of an acknowledgement from that, we would see a great boost in equipment and donations coming in. So it was just a matter of keeping the media in the loop as to what we're doing, and we've had literally dozens of news articles and stories about our program, because it's pretty hard to criticize a project because it's just a winner on all sides.
Oh, absolutely here, and it was amazed me when I first met you, and you were telling me a little bit about what you're doing, and I have here one of these vests, and I'll tell you what, if I was in a war zone, I would definitely feel better about wearing one of these. Absolutely, and you talked about something that really piqued my curiosity, and as you know, and most people that know me, including Jerry Duncan, when it comes to anything that resembles government inefficiency, I just go crazy, because it's our tax dollars, and with all our budget mess that we have going federally, state level, local levels, everybody's on these vests. Now, they do have an expiration date on them, and tell me a little bit about that, because that really confuses me, because it sure doesn't look like a loaf of bread to me that should be expiring. But
right. Well, I kind of look at the whole concept of, if you have a bottle of aspirin in your medicine cabinet and the expiration date is tomorrow, but you have a headache the following day, you're probably not going to throw it out. You're probably going to use it. So it may be a tiny percentage less effective, but it's serviceable. Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing with these vests. These things are manufactured, and by the most part, through the industry, I believe it's about a 5-year life, for the guy that wears them, or for the detective that throws it in the trunk and it rides around for 5 years and, basically still in the package. Again, like you were saying, if you were in a war zone and the potential to be shot at, would you want that piece of equipment that may have been used and surplused out, or would you want to go it alone? Most folks would take the equipment. And then that's why we've been so well received. The beauty of it, when you talk about government waste, is the fact that this stuff is all donated to us when we take to the war front. There's no taxpayer expense. So we're outfitting these folks, with equipment that normally our government would probably be purchasing for them. Mm-hmm. And so they get it free of charge. And, with the $25,000 that we have put into Iraq alone, times anywhere from $600 to $700 per piece,
really,
it's an astounding savings to the taxpayer.
Right, and we would, if it wasn't being utilized through your program and it expires, then it would have to be shredded, dealt with, and then the taxpayer would not only pay the $700-800 for the vest, pay for processing, and then haul it to our overburdened landfills. Is that the scenario?
That's about the scenario.
And in lieu of doing that now, so this is just a win-win all the way around. And if you look on the screen too, Sean will put up the website where you can contact Mike or any of the board members. And you can go online there at brotherhoodofthebadgeint.org and help them out. They always can use more donations, occasionally maybe some manpower or whatever, but they'll let you know what their needs are there. Sean, how are we doing for time there, buddy? 2 minutes, he says. So anyway, it's really, this is a great program, and personally, as the host of this show, whatever we can do with upcoming events or fundraisers, Mike, whatever you have, we're going to be more than willing to help you, and for sure.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and we'll run this program, until I guess it's not needed any longer, until they tell me to stop.
Well, at this point in time, it's all about really, and that's, I think, part of in our bigger picture, our role as the United States, as the leader of the world, that we're helping out people to begin with. We ended up in Iraq to help them because things could not continue on that path. But now they're forming their own government, and they've never, when you live in a police state, you don't know what it's like to be able to what it takes to run a police force and a fire department in a free society. It's totally foreign to them, no pun intended, and all that. Mike, if you'll just hang with me right here, we're going to start wrapping things up. Next week on Tim Thiessen Live, we have, this is going to be a barn burner of a show next week. We have Sam Paredes. He is the head guy in Sacramento for the Gun Owners of California. That's going to be a show you will not want to miss there. Sam is a great guy, and really going to bring some interesting views to the table for all of us here on gun control and what's happening there. And my good friend Andreas Borges from the Fresno City Council is going to be on. We're going to be talking about a variety of subjects. And then fasten your seatbelts for my last guest next week. It's going to be John Ginn. He is the city manager of the city of Shafter. And he's going to be in here talking to us about the negative impacts of AB 32 on local governments. So those of you that voted no on Prop 23, you're going to find out firsthand what you did to yourself at the ballot box in last November. And for those of you that are tuning in via the internet, we have Chuck Leonard's coming up next. And he has a whole cadre of interesting folks that are going to be on with him today. If any of you see Mrs. Thiessen this afternoon or talk to her on the phone, tell her I'll be back at the ranch at 7 and tell her to bring tortillas. We're going to have fajitas tonight. So till next week, this is Tim Thiessen Live. Have a great week. Bye-bye.